Stop messing around, stop fooling around, stop delaying, stop procrastinating. Get up, get out, get it done. Everything is possible, nothing is a problem, and anything can be overcome. I just get my ass up out of bed, I get my shit together, and I get out and I start the fight. And that will transform you from a mere mortal into a superhuman being. I've never, ever, ever met anybody who told me that they got rich watching their IRA or their 401k.
Welcome to the Daily Cash Flow. My name is George Robson.
I'm Peter Siegel.
Execution. It's been a running theme on the Daily Cash Flow.
It's key.
We've established its importance and how integral it is, how key it is. I'd like to unpack it a little bit further, though. Is this just another word that we use for deal making? I mean,
No,
what are specific examples and things that you can think of to further define this and help us understand it?
I'm a commercial real estate investor and developer and owner and manager. In my business, deal making, and I'm going to air quote around deal making, is one tiny component of what my execution needs to be. We've talked here before, George, about how everyone needs to be an expert in many different things. You can't just succeed by being a specialist in one thing. So for me, I am in the buildings, I roll up my sleeves, I'm communicating with tenants, I'm communicating and managing a very competent team. I am deploying technology, I am heavy in my communities, very involved in my communities. That's very important. I have lease documents that I use that reflect my 30 years in the business. I know all facets and aspects of construction. I mean, if you're going to invest money with simply a sponsor who's nothing more than a glorified asset manager, where are those functions coming in? I mean, your sponsor's likely farming out and pushing off those functions onto some third party who's doing all that work, who's attempting to add some sort of value and then sending reports to that sponsor. The sponsor's then turning around and regenerating reports back to the investors. I mean, by that time, everyone's missed the boat. You're just reading a report after the whole show has occurred. I mean, that's not how we run our business here, and that's not how I've ever run a business. There's no job that I haven't done. I've done every job in my industry, in my particular business. I've done everything from the ground up, and I'm never ashamed to talk to anybody about them doing their job or to work with them on how to do their job better, because I know how to do it. I'm an expert in it. I've done it all. And for me, the level of execution that I have allows me to be the one that adds the value. I'm not farming it out to a third party, waiting and hoping for them to perhaps add some value. I'm the one who's adding the value. As an investor with me, if you want value to be added, you talk to me about what we're going to do to add value, and I'll go through the laundry list of things in a very detailed and specific way with you. Those are key things for me that make me different than most other people in my industry. And I think for our viewers out there, in whatever field they're in, if they want to have more success and achieve more in what they're doing, they need to be able to execute. That means become an expert in many things. You got to become proficient in all the facets of your business and your industry. And without that, you're just going to be blending in with the white noise. So stick out and become an expert in all sorts of things.
Yeah, what I'm hearing you saying is that a lot of these skills and the ways in which you execute have come out organically out of needs that you've seen in the business, and that because you've been so hands-on and so close to the needs of your clients and customers, that has resulted in a natural kind of outpouring of execution for you, as opposed to, say, someone like an asset manager who might find a problem or hear about an issue in which they're just trying to apply an abstract concept of, this is kind of what I think I should be doing, as opposed to, this is an experience I've had before, so I'm just going to do what I know.
George, in any business, the contact with the customer is essential, and without that contact, you have no customer and you have no revenue. So absolutely, you have to be in constant contact with your customers. You have to be in constant contact with your vendors and suppliers. Without those connections and relationships, without that communication happening, you have nothing. So I never understood how sponsors and general partners could be out there soliciting investment dollars from the accredited investor community and then simply just farm out most or all of the functions relating to the operations of that business. I never get it. You have to be on the ground, you have to have your sleeves rolled up, you have to be connected to your business, you have to be connected to your customer, and you have to execute. There's no substitution for it. And anybody who tells you that there is, they're just behind a desk on the 27th floor of some office building, running a portfolio and sending you reports. I mean, you can do better than that. There's better investment alternatives for you. Seek them out.
So I'm curious, like, you hear this talk a lot about passive income. Everybody wants passive income. And I think that's why you hear a lot of talk about this kind of deal-making way of execution is they think, well, that's the goal, right?
It's this glorified concept.
Well, and then that's what I want to ask you is that a myth? And if
Let me tell you, there's no such thing as passive income. That's a phrase that refers to something. There's T-bills, that's passive income, but really short of that, anything else requires work. If you own real estate, it requires work. If you own another business, you have to run that business and work at that business. So the whole use of the word passive to talk about income is very much a bit of a myth. Look, you can get a K-1 from certain taxable entities that can manage some money for you, and whatever's on that K-1 can be considered passive income to you. But you worked for your money, and you worked for the right and the luxury of being able to now deploy that money into smart investments. So how passive is it really? And once you deploy the money, there's nothing passive about it. Someone's working the deal at some point. Someone's got to execute at some point. Someone's got to wake up, open up the shop, put the shop to sleep, and then go to sleep themselves every day. I mean, there's nothing passive about it. So when we talk about execution, drill down and really understand who's executing and at what level they're executing at. And are they executing at a very wide bandwidth, and are they experts at lots of different things? Or are they farming out key functions, hoping that someone that they're paying a fee to is going to add the value for them? So at Siegel Capital, I develop all of our pipeline. I underwrite, acquire, fund, and close on every opportunity. We own, manage, and execute on every building and every asset once it's closed on. And I write the business plan personally for every asset. I have a great team of people that work with me that then execute on that business plan. We meet about it and talk about it all the time. So I'm highly involved on seeing the progress and the growth, and then ensuring that progress and growth happens. And that's the only way to really deliver value to investors. That's the only way to really deliver value to myself. I'm my largest investor in every deal that I have. And having that connection to the business, the assets, vendors, suppliers, customers, residents, team members, I mean, it's so key. You have to be able to execute at a very wide bandwidth and at a great depth in order to achieve the amount of success that you're looking for as an investor.
And your description of execution kind of ties into something, another key theme that we found here in Daily Cash Flow is which is self-awareness. That it seems like you have a great amount of self-awareness that you enjoy what you do, and again that knowledge of connecting with the community. Those two things combined, I think, seems to allow you to work harder than someone else who's looking to just have passive income.
I don't consider it work. So for me, I wake up every day. I love going into the buildings. I love going into my office. I love speaking to my team and hearing about what's happening with leasing, with construction. I love going and seeing the progress of construction. I have lots of input to make in those topics. I've designed the systems in which our company operates to execute on those topics. I love it. And so when you love something to the extent that I love what I do here at Siegel Capital, when you love what you do, it's not work. So for me, it's not work. I thoroughly enjoy it. I thoroughly love it. And it makes me even more effective at what I do. And ultimately, we're here talking about accredited investors seeking access to be able to invest in income-producing real estate. So if you're an accredited investor, who do you want to invest with? Do you want to invest with someone who's reading about it in a book and running a business or a building from the 27th floor at a desk? Or do you want to put your money with someone who's got an established infrastructure, with experienced people, with in-place proven systems, with a track record of success, with execution occurring at a very wide bandwidth and at a very deep level? I mean, you have to choose who you're going to put your money with when making investments. Choose wisely.
We spoke about your recommendations for young people dealing with this crisis.
Yeah.
Even today, the New York Times had an article out, May 19th, Facing Adulthood with an Economic Disaster's Lasting Scars. In it, it discusses not even being able to get a job at McDonald's after graduating from a university. It's all well and good to talk about pivoting and the need for that, but can we nail down kind of specific things that you look for when you're hiring. What are key things that you look for? Are there specific metrics?
Yeah, it's a tough world right now for young people coming out of college in the workforce. It's tough. And yeah, we've spoken about how they need to pivot, and they do. I mean, everyone needs to pivot, not just the young people. You know, if you want to work for McKinsey, and I hear that a lot, it's one of my favorite things when I ask young people, what do you want to do? Why are you in graduate school? Why are you getting an MBA? What do you want your future to look like? 90% of the time I hear, oh, I want to work for McKinsey. Oh, really? You want to work for McKinsey? So what I tell people is if you want to work for McKinsey, you have to have the MBA, you have to have the grade point average, you have to come from the right school because they only hire from a certain key sets of Ivy League schools. And you have to have the work experience before you get into their new hire program. So unless that's the path that you're going to go on, be prepared to really show your grit and to show your dedication in whatever your other chosen field's going to be. Look, for me, I look for a few key things before I make a new hire, and they're not where you went to school, and it's not what degree you had, and it's not where did you work before. For me, when new hires come to me, we're looking for, do you have a burning hunger? Do you have a desire to learn? Are loyalty and dedication part of your everyday vocabulary? I want you to show up early and stay late. Are you going to do it without even thinking twice about it? Really, I'm looking for the things that add up to grit. And I know within the first 3 minutes of an interview if a candidate has that grit or if they don't. And I think most of us do and have experienced what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm looking for. I mean, in my business, we've set up systems to handle recurring tasks and repetitive functions that occur every day so that we can tackle them with ease and with speed. So I can teach a lot of things that happen here at Siegel Capital on a day-to-day basis. I can teach that. What I can't teach is loyalty, dedication, hunger, desire, and grit. So I look for those soft characteristics because they can't be taught. You either have it or you don't. And everybody that I've always worked with and have chosen to work with in my businesses have always had a high level of those things. And we've worked through all of the other skill sets which can be taught. And really the people that have been with me have been with me for years and years and years and years. I don't have a high turnover in my businesses. And people that choose to work with me typically are with me for a very, very long time. And that's because I focus on the loyalty, the dedication. I mean, I set the stage early. I mean, I expect people to take bullets and run through walls, and they do, and they get a lot in return from me, working with me and working at Siegel Capital. So that's just us. For the rest of you out there in the real world, as you're looking for ways to create relationships, seek new employment, or pivot, I would display how hungry you are, what your level of desire is. I would say how loyal and dedicated you are to the task of becoming an expert in this business so that you can add value to the owner or owners of the business. Make it about what you can give to the business, not what's in it for you. And if you do that, you'll be able to have a higher degree of success in getting a new job, staying at the new job, becoming successful at that job or career. And so that's really what I think about.
So for some people that are looking for jobs now, some of this might be new to them, this idea of displaying their hunger, displaying their drive. Are there ways that you cultivated that in yourself growing up, or that you feel you found sources of that, or was it an innate sense that you just had? For
me, George, from a very young age, and this was always the case in my family, so I think I got it at a cellular level from my grandfather, my father, and my brothers. We all love to work. I mean, I love to work, and I worked a lot ever since I was really, really young. And I learned a lot about business when I was really, really young. And a lot of what I learned was about the value of work. And I'm not talking about swinging a light axe on a heavy tree and trying to cut down the tree with a tool that's undersized. I'm talking about showing up early, staying late, getting the job done with a smile, caring about how the result turns out, caring about the customer, caring about the vendor and supplier, having that dialogue necessary to make yourself appear to all of those people like you're not normal, you're not regular, you're someone who's elevated above the regular in and out daily relationships that everyone else has. So I learned early on, and I felt it to be very rewarding, very early on, about how to make those connections and how to execute and just working. I love showing up early. I love staying late. I love getting a job done well. I love showing other people how good a job it was that came out, whether I did it or whether people on my team did it. I'm very, very proud of the work that my team does, and I'm not shy about it. And it's something that I encourage everybody to, don't be shy. I mean, display a great deal of pride in what you're trying to achieve, and make sure that the person you're talking to knows how much pride you have and how much you're willing to give to get it done. I mean, that's what's going to make you stand out. The world's got lots of stuff going on. Are you going to be lost in the white noise? Are you going to be lost in the flood? Or are you going to rise above? And if you're going to rise above, what are going to be the things that set you apart? So you have to be able to communicate those things and display those things that are going to be able to set you apart.
Yeah, really what I'm hearing you talk about a lot are two things. One is knowing the mission and being passionate about that mission. And then the second is developing relationships in order to get the mission done.
Yeah, and George, like you said, with self-awareness, know what makes you happy, know what you're passionate about, and then choose a field that speaks to those things. I mean, if you don't love the thing you're doing, you're not going to want to keep doing that thing. I mean, that's why 90% of the time human beings they fail, because they stop doing it, they stop trying. They can't go another 1 foot, 300 feet, 300 miles, another 2-3 years. They can't go that extra distance. They just stop. And they stop because they lose interest. They're not liking it. They're not enjoying it. They're not passionate about it. So the first thing you got to do is, in whatever decision you make for whatever your job or business or career path is, be very passionate about what it is that you've embarked on. Because if you're not passionate about it and you don't love it, you're just going to not do it anymore. You're just going to stop.
So this whole conversation has kind of led to, us talking about your business and the fact that you've been in business a long time, which brings up this question that I just have to ask. I'm a little confused, so I'm hoping you can clear
What are you
things.
confused about?
Well, I'd like you to clear things up for me. Why do you give a shit?
What do you mean?
You've been in business, 30 years?
Yeah.
You're already established in the industry. By a lot of people's standards of success, you've already, quote unquote, made it. Why the podcasts? Why the videos? Why the social media? Why Siegel Capital Now?
So we've talked here before about the 4 things that are needed to be able to invest in real estate. You need a great building in a great location. You need a business plan for that building. You need the capital, the money, and you need a great local market expert who can execute on multiple different levels. So that's what I do. I'm making the opportunity for accredited investors to be able to invest in income-producing real estate by investing with me at Siegel Capital.
So I understand that that's what you do, but
right.
Why now? Why are you doing it?
So we're here talking about a lot of things. We're talking about real estate investing. We're talking about my business. We're talking about your business. We're talking about the viewer's business. We're talking about young people, how to achieve success. We're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about self-awareness. We're talking about all sorts of things which are all part of the recipe of being successful at really anything in business, life, real estate investing. So I'm passionate about those things. I love those things. I enjoy those things. It's all part of what I love doing every day. I mean, I show up to work every day. I love it. It's not work for me. And so for me to be able to bring content like this to people and have these kinds of discussions where we're talking about entrepreneurship and business and success and achievement and problem solving and markets, people, I mean, all of that stuff is really interesting to me. And I want to spend my time doing the things that I love. This is what I love to do. And so for the accredited investor community out there, you have lots of choices. You can choose to invest in real estate, you can choose to invest in stocks, you can choose to invest in a plethora of many different things. I'm here to talk about why real estate's a great option for the accredited investor, why everyone needs to look into it and consider it. And I want to be there for you when you decide you want to invest in income-producing real estate. I'm here. Siegel Capital's here. Reach out to me, DM me, call me. I'm available to talk about these kinds of things with you all the time. So if I can't speak with you directly, I'm going to speak with you here on these platforms. I enjoy it, and I hope our viewers enjoy it.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways you're saying that this is something you'd be doing anyway, regardless of whether there were cameras or microphones or anything. It's just that we're documenting it now.
It is. And I feel strongly that young people need to understand what they need to do in order to get on the right path to achieve success with investing, with their careers. I spend a lot of time talking about those types of topics and answering those kinds of questions all year long in my other roles in my life. So I'm happy to be able to talk about those kinds of things here. And yeah, I would be doing these kinds of things anyway. I mean, I wake up every day, I've got a business to run, I've got investments to make, I've got buildings to buy, we've got business plans to execute on, we've got meetings to have with staff. I mean, these are things that I love doing. And it's what you need to be doing if you're going to have any chance of success at real estate investment or in any business. So I want to share what those secrets are that I've learned and share the things that I've picked up and developed and have done over the years that have allowed me to get to where I am. Because I think that the more people that are doing this, the more people that are going to have financial freedom, they're going to have success, they're going to be able to do what they want in life. And what's a greater thing to be doing than to sharing some advice and secrets and help for those that are looking to consume it.
All right, well, Peter, I have 2 Zest Quests today.
Let's do it.
For listeners, the Zest Quests are some questions that are a little bit off the beaten path, not quite business oriented, but some of them are. First one, what's your favorite tired you've ever been? What's the sensation of being tired? What is the favorite kind of tired you've ever been?
My favorite tired. I think after a good surf session, getting pounded by some waves and coming out the other side and having a great surf session, your shoulders get super sore, super burnt out, but there's nothing like a good, beautiful sunny day in the water with some friends with some head-high plus waves. So for me, that's one. I love the exhaustion that comes after maybe a 48-hour stint of staying up and working on an intense project with some sort of deadline, and then you get it done, and then, you know, that happens during like when I'm in transaction mode and I'm closing on buildings, and we've got I mean, it's so many moving parts. It's like ringleading a circus. I mean, you've got to get the equity money in, the debt money in, the lawyers have to be controlled and directed, title companies have to be controlled and directed, buyer's counsel, seller's counsel. I mean, it's a multitude of communications flow and paper flow, providing documents, due diligence. I mean, so sometimes you're up for like a couple of days just pounding all that stuff out with little to no sleep. I like that because at the end you have a very concrete result that you can then touch and it's there in front of you. So it's a very realized result that you can achieve. So I like that. I mean, I love working hard and getting a result. And when it's exhausting because I work so hard, I love that. A good day on the mountain skiing, being exhausted from that, coming down the mountain at like 3:30, 4 o'clock, getting 25, 30,000 vertical feet in, your legs are screaming, your ass is screaming, your hips are screaming, you've been hooting and hollering all day, maybe you've had a powder day, maybe you've been with some friends and just skiing fast, skiing your asses off. I love that. I love to have fun. I mean, I play hard, I work hard, and I play really hard too. So when I play, if I'm in the ocean surfing or if I'm skiing, something like that, I mean, I love it. I love doing things where you get a real physical effect and a real physical result. So I love the exhaustion that comes from that kind of physical stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Last question for today. What do you care enough about to compromise for? What's something that you care enough about to compromise for?
I don't know, George. I mean, the things that I really care about, I don't compromise for, so I'm not quite sure what you're asking. I can tell you that when it comes to my family, health, friends, my business, people that I work with and am in contact with on a daily basis, I mean, these are all the most important things to me. I'm very uncompromising with those things. So maybe you can clarify what you're asking, but I don't compromise on any of those.
So I think that's the answer to the question then, that family, friends, business, connections are the things you care enough about to compromise maybe in other areas of your life, to you know, take some time away in order to you know.
I mean, if it's not in that top tier of things that you just mentioned, I'll make compromises. But I know that people have a high level of expectations from me, and so I want to deliver, and I'm uncompromising on how I would ever deliver to them. And for me, I have a high standard of expectation for myself, my family, my friends. I mean, the things and people that are in my daily orbit, I mean, I hold so highly and regard so much that I would never compromise anything relating to any of that. And I think that's important. I mean, you have to pick the things in your life that you're just not going to compromise on. I don't compromise on any of those things.
As you've said before, loyalty is invaluable. So
loyalty is among the most valuable.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Peter. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, George.